We leave executive session. Is there a second? Second from Councilman Vitale. All in favor? Moving into executive session. All in favor? Thank you. All right. Sorry, folks. We were doing some police interviews, and so we already called the meeting to order. So I'm going to ask that Esther Baylor please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you all please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. We've got a few announcements, then a couple presentations. First, the 2019 inaugural Military Tribute Banner Program is underway. If you have a veteran or you would like to honor a veteran of any period of service, you can spend money to purchase a banner which will fly in Sparkhill, Pearl River, or Orangeburg. We already had sold a good amount of them, enough to get a good critical mass. They're going to be going up around Memorial Day weekend, and they'll be staying up through Veterans Day. That'll be a continual thing going forward. It's been successful in other towns. If you have any questions, if you want to do this program, please email supervisor@orangetown.com for more details. The Pearl River Farmers Market, first year of that market started this past Sunday with a sort of test run amount of vendors. It went very smoothly. It was good, well attended. So this is over at the corner of North William Street, on North William Street between Washington and Central, between the hours of 10 and 3 on Sundays, every Sunday through November. Come by this week. There's going to be twice as many vendors as there was last week, and it's going to keep growing as it becomes more stable. So come down to the Pearl River Farmers Market on Sunday. Then we have a series of Memorial Day celebrations and ceremonies going on this weekend. The one for the town ceremony is Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Walkway of Heroes. There are a series of parades in all of our different hamlets and villages on Monday, which would encourage you to find one that you can get to and get there and honor those who gave their lives for our country. And then those are followed by the watchfires on the night of the traditional Memorial Day, May 29th, lit at 11:30 p.m., both on the Piermont Pier and at the top of Clawson Mountain, and those fires burn for 24 hours. There's a public meeting regarding the West Washington Bridge replacement project in Pearl River. That'll take place in the conference room, multipurpose room, in the basement of Town Hall on Wednesday, May 29th at 7:30 p.m. It's an information session for a potential project to replace that bridge by the county. The Orangetown Historical Museum is hosting a spring flea market on June 1st from 10 to 4 p.m. at the Depew House on Chief Bill Harris Way. Rain date is June 8th, and there's also a free tour available of the exhibit Shank's Legacy. The whole event is free and open to the public. There is a public hearing scheduled for June 18th at this time, which may change based on today's meeting, for delinquent property tax law and zoning violation fines. And there's a continuation of a public hearing scheduled for June 18th as well for proposed zone change for Route 303, or a portion of Route 303. And I think that's all of them. Okay, wow, a lot of announcements. Yep. Yes, so we're going to do the Highway Department awards first. So every year, Jim Dean and our Highway Department give out awards to some very well-qualified and exceptional employees we have here in that department. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Superintendent Dean, and he will take it from there.
Thank you, Supervisor Day, and thank all the members of the town board. Give us the opportunity to do this, and this is actually a combined award program because we have many people from the public here that do really great work for the town of Orangetown for free, volunteers. And we want to make sure that they get recognized for the work that they do. So this is my opportunity to introduce these people to the town board because lots of things get done and many times none of us really know who does it. The first on the agenda, and I'm not sure if we have them here yet. Do we? Not yet. Okay. Well, I'll skip over the first on the agenda, which is Summit School, and I'll give you a little history about that before, although it's been almost 20 years that I've been working with them, and this is the first time that they've been late. They're usually here having cookies before we get started, but I'll explain that a little bit more. But we also have a beautification award, and I have some people here with me tonight that have been involved with these groups Stefan Muno, our senior administrative assistant, who works very hard at this. Mike Yanazone, who's sitting over here, retired, but still deputy superintendent and still very much involved, especially with the volunteers, getting them on board and organizing the work that they do. So I appreciate Mike and his wife Barbara for coming, and all the work that Stefan does related to this. The first awards that we're going to give out are the Beautification Award, and this is for people that have done something around their property to just make the streets look better. To when you're driving around town, you see these little spots. It doesn't have to be major. We have some residences that do some really nice jobs, and we have commercial entities. So we try each year to pick a few, and this is only based on the highway department. If somebody else wants to point us to a property sometime, do that, give us a call. But this is usually just from our supervisors and myself riding around and things that we see. This one, Faces by Carrie, is on Franklin Avenue and William Street in downtown Pearl River. And this is Carrie's business, and this is the way she has it decorated, and it's really pretty. And it makes it nice when you drive down to see something like that. So this is our commercial entity this year, 40 Franklin Avenue, and Carrie Becker. Are you here tonight, Carrie? Carrie Bucker, I'm sorry. Carrie, can we give you a certificate? Okay, could you come up? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we have, actually this year, 3 residential properties. One, I'm going to take it out of order. Rick Petruzella. Rick Petruzella, are you here tonight, Rick? Rick actually, sorry? I know, yeah, he actually owns the building that Carrie is, and on this other side street, William Street. For years, he's been putting in plants and flowers and keeping it up, so we wanted to recognize him too. The next one is down right here in Tappan on Kings Highway. We actually have 2 on Kings Highway. If anybody is familiar with the Tappan area, Kings Highway is a one-way street that actually goes back to a deer trail and a Revolutionary War. The town only owns a 22-foot wide roadway there, so there's not a lot of room on the sides to do neat things. But 2 of our neighbors down there have done some really neat planting, and it makes it very attractive when you're driving through there. So Jenny and Jack Higgins, number 111 Greenbush Road, and Kim and Nick Woodford, number 115 Greenbush Road. We have a presentation for you also. And I need to say, when I called and talked to, come on up, please. Yeah, don't be embarrassed, come on. Actually, we do appreciate all your efforts. And when I was talking to Jimmy, she made me feel really good. She said, because you're not I'm sorry. Yeah, to Kim and Jenny, but Kim especially mentioned that what the compost that she uses to make her plants grow so good come from the town of Orangetown. That's part of our recycling program. When we pick up your leaves, it goes to compost, and now it's coming back for an award. So thank you very much.
Oh, you gotta give her the award.
Oh, I know it was doing all the work. Thank you. And somebody that we've been working with for a really long time has been Keep Rockland Beautiful. Orangetown has been a Keep Rockland Beautiful community since the start in the early 2000. And we have the executive director here with us tonight, Sonia Cairo, has done a wonderful job picking up and expanding it, not to just the cleanups. There's so many other facets. But we would like to recognize the cleanup One, because it certainly helps the town of Orangetown Highway Department, because there's no way we could keep up with all the litter and the junk that's on the side of the roads. So we've been fortunate in Orangetown to get groups out from 10 to 200 plus. And this year was a banner year of pickups. I'm not sure exactly how many pickups we had. Actually, I should have that number. But we had one in each one of our townships, and then a number of other ones. I mean, it's one of our villages, I'm sorry. So for this year's award, the Blauvelt Community Cleanup, Melissa Bra. Melissa with us? Susan DeAngelis from the Pearl River Community Cleanup. Carol Dudson. Yes, I know Carol's here. Thank you, Carol. That's from the Palisades Cleanup. Okay. It's lost in there somewhere. We'll get it to you. We'll get it to you. So thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
It's in the file. The Spark Hill watershed cleanup, they've been very active with the watershed besides these cleanups, and it's really been a benefit for the town of Orangetown. We have two members. I know we have Mr. Tompkins and Mr. Kilmer, Kevin Kilmer. Yeah, we had you on there, and it was taken off, and then you're back on. And I know you've been here before.
I have files. I found it if you want to.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thanks for all your help. And by far the biggest that we've had in a long time came out of Tappan. The Tappan Community Cleanup Group. Two very recognizable names in Tappan who brought together the fire department and all kinds of other community groups, actually offered lunch and had a great time with a cleanup with over 200 people that did the rail trail and areas in Tappan and Spark Hill. They did a great job. So I know George is here, even with George Garrett, what is it? What are you, George? Let me get the right, George Garrett the fifth, yes. And George is also a member of the Highway Department. And his dad is a former retired Army Scout police. So thank you so much, George. Girls, could you hold that? All right. Well, we have something even a little special because it's such a big crew. This year, we have a one-time award. We have a Golden Grabber Award for this group. Would you hold that, girls? There you go. You are our Golden Grabbers. And this is what it's really all about, families getting together to help make Orangetown a really good place to live.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
And he had to babysit tonight, too. That's how highway guys are. They just get it done. Carol, we do have your certificate. I'm sorry. You got
Got
lost
lost in that pile.
in the pile.
Thank you, Carol.
All right, I'm not sure if we have our Summit kids here yet.
We don't, but I will.
No?
I will.
Okay, well, we have a couple Highway Department awards that we're going to give out. We have some milestones that have come up. We have 50 people in operations in the Highway Department. As you'll see a little later, we had actually 4 people retired last year. That was the biggest group of people we've had in years leave. But this is the kind of dedication and commitment we have to the Highway Department. This year, we have a 30-year mark for Tom Caputo. He's one of our motor equipment operators. And I know he's not here because he's going to tell me he had to be home sleeping because he's got to get up for a 6:30 start tomorrow morning. But more so, somebody who I went to especially and asked him to come tonight. We have Mike Menego and his wife Linda are here. Mike has been with us 45 years in the highway department. Now that's something. So I'd like to ask both of you to come up. Linda also, please, because if you work for the highway department, it's not just the guy that gets called at 2 o'clock in the morning to come to work and plow snow, and he's still plowing snow. He still comes when we call him, but the whole family works for the highway department. There's no way of getting away from it, so. We thank you both for all your efforts. 45 years, nobody has worked in operations in the highway department longer than that ever. And he's still going. We had some,
Congratulations,
thank you. Thanks, Mike. Really. I'll get to it later about the other people that retired, but we also have an award that we give out for perfect attendance, and I talk about this all the time. It's a little corny. We used to get that when we were in high school, but it's the same kind of thing. When you work in the highway department, perfect attendance is really something to be recognized, because that means you came to work every single day, except for your vacation and your regular time. And lots of times it's in bad weather, lousy conditions, but to make that kind of a commitment is really great. And this year we have 3 people that did it. Christopher Coyle, James Michael Dillon, who is one of our, he's the second assistant general foreman, and Ed Vecchio, who is one of our newer guys, and so is Chris Coyle. So they're not here tonight, but this is the kind of dedicated employees we have working for the town of Orangetown, and it's really good. And as I said, I'm just going to introduce their names. This past year, 4 people retired. Laurel Antonucci had 35 years on the job. Bill Bodenstead had 31 years on the job. Sam Monier, 23, he was a kid. He only had 23 years on the job. And Mike Yanazone, sitting back there, who had 43 years on the job when he retired in September of last year. So, this again is a kind of commitment. And we have people striving to do it again, and we really do appreciate that. So now, we do have the Summit School group here. It's a, we have representatives of the group. I'll explain to you, it's listed here as the Summit School Summer Youth Employment Program. And that's how it got started. Summit is an individual school, and they have a program for their students to get them out into the workforce to see what it's like to actually have a job and go to work each day. So we've started this as a summer program. It's now year-round. They come to us every week. People that live in Orangetown know what the bags are. The bags for the grass and the bags for the leaves. You get them in nice bundles of 10. Last year, we gave away from the county and the town 116,000 bags in those packages of 10. This crew, with there's 3 or 4 more others with them, put together 11,600 of those packages so that we've been able to give them to the public. And they just do it, something also to make sure we have 300 glass bags ready for floods or issues. Years ago, we called those sandbags. That's not the case anymore. We actually use crushed glass that we get from the Rockland County Solid Waste Authority. So they're now called glass bags, but they also make sure we have those 300 pallet groups ready all the time. So we do thank them. So we do have certificates. I'm going to I'll ask Stefan to call the names. I'm not sure if we recognize who's here tonight, but if we call your name, come up and we'll give you the certificate, all right?
Nicholas Chamelis,
Nicholas? Okay. No?
Andre Goldstein. All right. Michael Lee.
No.
Joshua Loeb.
Okay, Joshua, how are
Richard
you?
Nunez.
Stay right here, Joshua. Yeah.
Richard Nunez.
All right.
Emmanuel Pichardo.
Thank you.
Christopher Whitley.
Chris, thank you. Christopher? Yeah.
No problem.
let's look at Stefan, we're gonna get a picture, okay? Just show you.
Like this, right? Is it upside down?
No, not like that.
She's coming in too?
No, she's
I didn't do all that work that you guys did.
Did I make a nice
So
smile?
thank you, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.
Do I keep this thing?
Huh? You keep that, that's yours.
I can bring it home too, right?
Yep. And I want to thank Judy Harrington. Judy is the program coordinator. As I said, we've been working with that school for a long time. So again, thank you to the town board. That's the end of our presentation. We appreciate you giving us the time. And again, thank you to all the people in Orangetown that give their time and their effort to make this a better place to live.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone, for your service in town. It's greatly appreciated. I'm going to entertain a motion from Councilman Dibney for a 3-minute recess to allow folks who were here just for the awards to get out of here without causing a disruption. Is there a second? Councilman Valentine, all in favor? All right, so we're adjourned for 3 minutes. Feel free to walk about the cabin. I'm out of recess. If everyone can please settle down for a moment or 10. If all side conversations could please just sort of cease, and we can maybe close those back doors, Greg, if you can get those back doors closed so the folks in the back don't have to deal with the dull roar back there. All right. Welcome back. We have 2 more presentations that are briefer, with less awards. George Alatsis regarding a proposed zone change, a vacant lot at the corner of Manor Boulevard and Middletown Road in Pearl River. So we'll turn over the podium there.
Good evening, everybody. How you doing? Good evening, everybody. How you doing? My name is George Alatsis. I'm a local builder that's been building in Rockland for about 18 years and bought a property on Middletown Road on the corner of Manor. We have owned it for about 4 years now, and it's switched over to a commercial zone. It was a pre-existing house that had burned, and since we knocked it down, we haven't used it and switched over to the commercial zone due to the current zoning. We have not had any luck with any commercial tenants and are asking the board to please consider a zone change so we could build a single-family house in that spot. So the neighbor to the east of us did come in 2016, and the board did grant him that same zone change to convert his home to a residential status. So what we're looking to do is connect the chain and make everything on that side of the street residential, so to speak. I think if you drive around Pearl River and you look at how many vacancies, I've actually went around and took some pictures, I don't know if you guys need them or not, you'll see that there's a lot of office space and shopping malls that are vacant. And that's probably a big reason why we haven't had any success with any commercial clientele on our parcel. So we're asking the board to please consider this petition and change it back to a residential zone.
Thank you. Any questions? We received the documents, I think, right?
Yes, we sent all the documents.
So it's just basically would tie in with the neighboring residential zone, and it had been the only use on the property up through now. The area is kind of a mix. So is everyone, are we comfortable with at least getting a public hearing scheduled on this, or any questions we have for George?
Yeah, I support going to a public hearing on it.
The address is on Manor, right?
It's actually 268 North Middletown Road.
268
Yeah.
North Middletown.
House would face.
The house faces Manor, but it'll be, the address
The house
is
will
on.
face Manor, and the driveway will be pulled closer towards Manor and away from Middletown Road.
Right, just as George mentioned, in 16, it was, the other one was changed to residential. I'm not sure if it came up about this one. We can certainly look at it. Headed down North Middletown, those were all commercial, but it's kind of a unique
Corner of it,
corner
yeah.
lot, you know. So again, you typically don't want to make a zone change for one property. The applicants here, I mean, the neighboring properties will be
The other
will
zone
be
change was
notified.
probably for the one property, too.
Yeah, and I think just looking at Manor, the way Manor has been developed over the years,
The issue with the other property was that it was originally residential, and John Giardello changed the zoning map and changed the zoning on that property. I do remember that because I looked at the file, and part of the COs issued were for R15, and then they changed it to a commercial zone. So if you look at that property, I don't know if the same thing happened to this property. Was this always in residential, or was it in commercial, or what's?
There was a house on it that had burned, so it was a residential home the whole time. If it wasn't burned, it still would have been there. So we're just asking to put back what was originally constructed.
Right.
But it's connected.
It's connected to
Adjacent to the other.
the adjacent
Yes.
property.
And
And
you're
exa-
actually downgrading the zone from a commercial zone to a residential.
Correct.
And it's only for one single-family home.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we all good with getting a hearing scheduled for this thing?
Yes.
Okay. So we don't have it on the agenda. Maybe we'll just do a motion to set a hearing after we
Right,
get to the
well-
voting portion of the meeting.
right, we want to put it on the next meeting so we can set the public hearing, probably for July. Give us time to circulate. And next, town will meet the 4th.
Why don't
I'll
we'll
put a
just,
resolution on the 4th.
we'll just,
set for-
why don't we just do a written, like an in-meeting resolution to schedule it, and we'll do the circulation at the next meeting, just so it's on the calendar.
That's fine.
Alright.
Either the 9th or the 23rd, I think.
This is gonna have to go up to the county, or?
Yeah, I would say 23rd.
23rd to be safe. All right, so what we'll do is when we get to the voting portion, we'll add a resolution to set the public hearing for
July
7/23 at 8:05. And then we'll do all the rest of the circulation the next meeting. So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have, on behalf of the club at Pearl River 2's proposed site plan, for the proposed site plan, we have Don Brenner. This is the one that we had approved for a PAC zone back at about almost a year ago now, I think, but, Don, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. Thanks the board for hearing us. This situation, as you mentioned before, was approved in April of 2018 for a PAC zone project. It was laid out in a series of 5 buildings, which you can see right over there. That's the substantial drawing that was laid out. And the client is now coming through, and he wants to develop the property in terms of a layout, in terms of the PAC zone. The problem is when they actually started to do some detailed engineering, they came up with a scheme which they thought was a little better, which we're going to show you. They thought it was more environmentally correct, and they'll show you why. So it's pretty much, they've narrowed the buildings down to 4, and they'll show you the layout of the 4. And the planning board thought that they would like the town board approve the new layout before they went forward on the project. So, Umberto, maybe you want to explain the new project, and then we'll take questions, okay?
Right. So that the board understands, it's actually part of the code that it has to come back to you. Once because this was a concept,
Right.
and then when it really gets engineered, it has to come back for your approval. I think Rob, you mentioned it in the stuff that he forwarded to the town board. Do you want to leave this one up, or you want to?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll talk through this. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Umberto Baldinucci. I'm with JMC, and we're the civil engineers for this project. As you see on the board, we have the original concept plan that was approved by the board. This proposed 5 apartment buildings with a total of 104 units and a clubhouse building. Clubhouse building here. The site is located along Veterans Memorial Drive to the north, Blue Hill Plaza to the west, and existing, I'm sorry,
Batteries might be dying.
nope. Blue Hill Plaza to the west, Veterans Memorial Drive to the north, and existing DEC wetlands along the southern eastern portion of the site. Access to the site is along Blue Hill Plaza, a roadway layout that branches out to the individual building location. Some of these roadways have dead ends and require turnaround areas for emergency vehicles. So we just want to switch over to the proposed.
I'm helping out here because this was actually a submission that the planning board saw, so we wanted to let you,
There's a rendering. If go to
you want to go to the rendering?
Yes.
Okay.
please.
Land rendering?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Oops.
It just takes a
Okay.
second.
What's the difference in number of units?
Okay, so the proposed site plan continues to propose 104 units. What we were able to do is consolidate the development into 4 buildings, 4 apartment buildings. We continue to propose a clubhouse building, but everything is centralized. The development now is centralized within the site.
Is there a
By doing
difference-
so,
Is there a difference in the height?
Do you realize that this was, it's 180 degrees from what he originally showed?
Yeah, it's
you?
just
Right.
Veterans on the
Clubhouse was
bottom.
on
so
the top.
again, and then what you see here is a different scale drawing. The concept plan was prepared at a 50 scale, so you're looking at a view farther away from the site. This is a 30 scale drawing, so it kind of shows the buildings closer. You're just looking at the buildings that are closer up. Blue Hill Plaza is located here, which is the western portion of the site. Access to the site continues along Blue Hill Plaza. That doesn't change. What we were able to do is centralize the development, minimize, and then reduce the overall disturbance that was originally projected. We were also able to create some more separations to the lower buffer areas. We now have a loop road that allows better circulation for the potential tenants and any emergency vehicles, which are going to have access through Blue Hill Plaza and the emergency access drive along Veterans Memorial Drive. In addition to these site changes, this proposed plan provides the site amenities such as a dog run, a putting green, a pickleball court, and almost 30,000 square feet of recreational area, which was previously not proposed with the original concept plan. And I guess we
About where
could
the
go.
pool location and the setback?
So we did receive some comments in regards to the pool area being located within the front yard setback. So we're currently evaluating the pool location to see if we can shift the pool location from this location or, go for a variance if it's needed. But we're evaluating that situation at the current moment.
I do wish to tell the board, these are the same exact units that are in Club 1. In other words, the architect that has designed the same type of unit for this facility as you have, and you know what is Club 1 right now. It has been built now for over 2 years. It is 100% occupied with a big waiting list. And this one, we also have a waiting list for this one, too. So,
The height's not increasing for the buildings?
Pardon me?
The height of
it's the same exact, the problem here is that the terrain is a little different, and that's one of the reasons we may have to go for variance, but it's the same exact building that was built in the first
I think
section.
what Tom's asking between scheme 1 and scheme 2, did the buildings increase in height?
So,
Not,
Is it 3
Phase
stories, 4?
one,
So
phase two,
what were you
phase
approved
three.
for, and what, do you want more stories, is the question?
So we did receive another comment in regards to how many stories this building is proposing. We did an average grade plan. We were able to, the difference between, and I could have the architect talk about this. I think it's probably best, so.
It's a pretty simple question.
Yeah, it is. Actually, no, the building height proposed in this revised plan is the same as same building height that we proposed previously. Jeff Diermalda, by the way, with Barton Partners Architects. So it's the same number of units. Really, all we did was take those 3. There were 3 18-unit buildings in the previous plan, and they were combined into 2 26-unit buildings. And so we're,
So is there less disturbance now of the property?
yeah, we believe there's less disturbance in the property. We've been able to consolidate the site development more central to the site. And again, we're just taking advantage of the downhill terrain as we were doing before. And so that's 2 stories, it's a 2-story above the grade plane building. And so you have 3 levels of exposure on the downhill side, 2 levels of exposure on the uphill side. But it qualifies as a 2-story above the grade plane structure.
Any other questions? Or Jane, you have some?
Just to be clear, at this point with this presentation, they may need a height variance, which, because dimensions were never provided. Front yard setback for the pool, 100 feet is required, and they have 50 feet to the pool, correct? 75 feet, I'm sorry, to the swimming pool, and 50 feet to the enclosure. So the whole structure is halfway into the setback on the Veterans Drive, and the number of units. They're allowed, was it 98, Donald? I'm not forgetting.
Well,
And 104 is proposed.
that we will have to work with the planning board, but if we're not able to work that out with, then we will ask the board to send us to the zoning board, and we would like to get a variance for that.
But that hasn't changed between.
That's the
what
same
they
number you
proposed
requested
to us
before.
the first time and what they proposed to us the second time.
That is correct.
It's the same number, and per this section of the code, the zoning board has the authority to grant that variance. So the 3 that I mentioned, either they can address them and won't require the variances, or the planning board will send them to ZBA.
So, we just need to approve the change in site plan,
No,
basically.
we-
And no, my question would be, if they swap the pool out to another location, do they have to come back again for the pool, or is it just the major stuff? I mean, like, right now, the pool's in a spot where they may decide they have to move it a little bit. Do they have to come back again, or?
Right, well, this came up back when the law was originally passed, back in '04, '05. There was a little bit of a disconnect that this board would approve something, and then it would go to planning board. It might be in a different shape than what was originally presented. So we amended the code to include language that said it doesn't substantially deviate. And we actually made it such that it requires a vote of the board of a majority plus 1 to find that there is a substantial deviation. So if the board would have to vote basically, 4 to 1 to find there was a substantial deviation. Something like this, obviously it's within the board's discretion, moving the buildings around a little bit, that's substantial deviation. I'll just read it directly from the code. Says that if the deviation would be not consistent with the goals sought to be achieved by the grant of the zone change. So it's not so much site-specific, I mean, it is site-specific, but not
How
so much
big of
into
a
the
change?
nitty-gritty details
So
of
the
it.
pool location won't matter for
Right,
us.
so
It'll
pool
matter for the
location,
planning
something
board
like
and
that
zoning
is a
board.
matter for the
Okay, I just want to
planning
make sure we're not going to keep having this happen.
No, but the
Be
reason
faster to
it came
fix the
back.
law in that case.
Right, no, the reason it came back here is because of that, to make sure,
The
yeah, as
number of
James said, it was
buildings
a concept plan.
Yeah.
Now we have more detailed plans, so you can see whether or not
Okay.
that's consistent with the plans as you.
And we
approve.
have a resolution on the agenda right now that would basically, if we vote for it, say okay to what was just presented to us. It's in our agenda. Is everyone good? Any other questions? Questions, comments? No? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jen. All right, actually, Jen, you want to hang there for a minute, because we're going to get to, so, what was that?
Are we voting on whether it's a substantial?
We're going to be
change or
voting
we're okay with
on
it?
saying that we're okay with this site plan. It's in the future, if it changes again, we would then have to vote to declare it a substantial change. Right?
What it's on for tonight is the way it was proposed, based upon what we saw, is that it's not a substantial deviation and they can proceed.
We're proving and telling them they're good to go if we vote for the resolution on the agenda for the planning board and zoning board.
I think it's substantial.
Well, I approved it, but I think it's substantial. You don't think changing 5 buildings to 4?
4 buildings, it's.
I don't know.
that's-
What is the resolution saying? I mean,
Yeah, it's still the same number of units.
it's the same building height, like, I don't,
I think it's substantial. That's why we-
is what we're doing, Rob, what would make sense in this situation if the thing was something we want to have happen? Like, I just want, we're voting on a thing that's saying, hey, yes, that's fine, that's the sort of thing we wanted to do, basically, correct?
Yes, if you feel it's a substantial deviation, that it's not in accordance with what you approved, again, not necessarily the details,
So,
but
but
with the reasoning, which is, it was a number of buildings. Listen, if you don't like it and you find it substantially deviates, first of all, as I said,
I'm okay with it because we approved.
Would this be this
104
voting
units.
against the resolution, then?
It seems to me like,
Would we just need to vote 4-1 against the resolution? then
well,
to say it was
two
substantial?
things. You'd have to vote 4-1 to find it substantially deviated, number one. Number two, let's say you did that, they would come back, as part of the zone change process. Again, that's where it would be.
It's really, we're
if you
talking
like it or not.
an affirmation versus a negation, so we could either vote 4-1 against something saying that it isn't a substantial deviation, or we can vote 4-1 saying it
make
is.
them jump through hoops.
Well, they were made to jump through hoops here already, so if we vote for make sure this is good, then they won't be forced to jump through anymore, hopefully, in this process.
Just wanted that cleared up.
Yeah, we have the vote, yeah, just clarifying what we're
I
supposed to
just
do.
don't get why, and it's all about notice. So today, we have it on as a presentation. We don't even have it on for voting, and now we're being told we're gonna vote to say it's not substantial. No, you don't, you have
Yes,
it
it
as,
is, it's
it's a presentation.
in here, it's in the voting resolutions.
But here's the deal, it's all about notice to people. The thing is,
It's not a notice of public hearing,
It's-
it's a resolution to just say, yeah, that's good, it's the same number of units, the same building height.
They did appear
They
before
don't-
the
Frankly,
planning
they
board.
shouldn't even be here. I mean, they really shouldn't. We voted for something with 104 units at the same building height. Who the hell cares if it's 4 buildings or 2, or 5, I mean?
I think a lot of
yeah.
people in this town care about if you change what's being put out there.
It's not being changed,
I
it's being
think-
put out there.
I think a
It's
lot
like
of people hell care that, you're substantially changing.
It's not a level that the town board normally gets to. It's not density, we care about density, we care about quantity of units,
They
care
still
type
gotta
of
go
use.
through all the other
The
boards
planning
and-
board is the one that should care about, like, whether you put the garage on the left or the right of your house. If you have the same size garage and you have the same size house and the same number of bedrooms,
It still has to go through the
So-
other
Yeah.
board.
They went to the planning board, made a public appearance last week, and it was continued so that they could present the change per that section of code to the town board. They are scheduled again for tomorrow night.
for another public hearing.
Provided that the board allows them to move forward. The planning board will then address any outstanding comments from other agencies, as well as the variances that are stated in my letter. Then they will go to the zoning board if they receive preliminary approval from the planning board. So the drainage is reviewed by our town engineer, as well as our consulting town engineer, and all agencies involved, the county and things like that. So there are multiple reviews. This is more about, the board saw an architectural space diagram that had different layout of buildings, orientation to each other, had a different pool and clubhouse location. The driveways were different, and however, they reduced the number of buildings by condensing them, which I forget the number of units the architect said, but. Right, but I mean, the number of units in each building. So there's less actual buildings, which could result in less land disturbance, which is one of the questions. So again, it was one concept versus the other concept, and the way our code is written, they have to get your approval for that, because what went to the planning board is not what you guys saw.
But they still have the public hearing for the planning board again.
Yes,
Then they would
and-
have the ZBA
And it was
hearing.
fully advertised, and the last meeting, not one person,
Well, I'd get, our town attorney, do you think this is substantial?
Well, it's not my call, it's your call.
I'm
But
asking-
here's what I will say. I'm going to read substantially deviate because it is in the code. The term substantially deviate, as used herein, shall mean that the site development plan presented to the planning board for preliminary approval differs in a material manner from the final concept plan reviewed by the town board and upon which the town board granted the PAC zone change, and that the material change or deviation that may have been made to the concept plan in the town board's sole judgment and discretion is not consistent with the goals sought to be achieved by the grant of the zone change.
I think that's a pretty clear second portion, so if it's in line with what we wanted to do, then it
If
doesn't
it-
qualify under the definition.
If they would have changed, if this would have been the first plan.
It says it has
I
to
would
be,
have
it says it has to be a substantial deviation and it has to matter. So if it doesn't matter, even if it's somewhat substantial, if it's a change in number of buildings, and it doesn't matter because it follows the goals, then it's not a substantial deviation. It's like, having intent in murder one. You have to kill the person and have intent, right? Or, you know these things, you're the lawyer.
Jane, do you think this is a
That's
substantial
true, there's no murder one in
deviation?
New York anymore.
Again, conceptually, when you look at the plan, it is, but with that last sentence that Rob read, does that change in the concept affect that last comment he made? Is it,
But
the
it
intent
seems-
of the zone change, is it still being met? That is the question.
I guess the question is, we approved the concept that didn't need all these variances, correct?
No.
No, no, no.
Well, it didn't need the front yard.
That's substantially,
It
now
still needed the number of units.
It always needed the number of units variance.
Well, I don't know.
The height, if the height didn't change.
I don't know if it was,
doesn't, I'm
I
not,
don't know because the height calculations have not been presented to me to review, so I can't,
so.
but they can
because
address that, the
That's
height.
the answer that you didn't give me. You tried to not answer that question. That's why I'm kind of like, I asked a specific question, I didn't get an answer. You danced around that question.
What question?
Okay,
About, is it the height of the
No,
building?
the architect just said the height didn't change. He's saying she didn't get the height calculation sent to her for review yet. He said specifically, word for word, the heights between the
I asked
proposal and the
him
previous one
specifically.
and the one that's up here have not changed. Correct? Yes. Thank you.
But they also brought up the contours of the building, which to me,
The contours of the ground under it, it's the height, if the height of the building hasn't changed, it hasn't been presented her for review
It's
yet. That's
based
what
on the
it's not
adjacent
contradictory.
grade of
please,
the
please.
grade plane
So
around the building.
basically, they connected two buildings.
Yes, and there's less disturbance, less ground movement, and better flow pattern for the traffic. This is not substantially in any way changed from the concept that the town board wanted in
Well,
terms.
from the goals.
Well, the
I think
goals.
it
Goals,
changed
the
substantially.
site plans
I think
changed,
it
but the
changed
goals did not
substantially
change.
From the concept, but the goal of the town was to get.
It's 104 unit senior citizen housing
The bottom
in
line
the
here
same
is,
spot with the same people building it.
four people think this is not substantial. 4 people think it meets with the concept that we had
I don't know
before.
about
Yes,
Phil
it did.
and Tom are questioning this together.
yeah,
by the way.
exactly.
So I just want to know, but I gotta be honest, I think the sentence that Rob
The second
read
sentence is the key, yeah.
changes everything, because the goal was to allow them 104 units or whatever the planning board determined they were allowed. And we were just gonna pass it on to the planning board. If the planning board said, no, you're only allowed 96, then that's up to the planning board. So our concept, the concept between concept 1 and concept 2 really hasn't changed. And the goal hasn't changed.
Now, Jane, could the zoning board, they could not approve these changes and they're back here again?
They wouldn't
No.
come back.
No.
no,
No,
what-
that
They
would-
could not approve the number of units.
the
No.
variances.
What about but if they don't approve the variance, aren't they gonna have to come back here because the planning board might say it's substantially different from the
They
thing you
may,
brought in today?
they may have to drop the units.
No, because if it drops the units, it's not safe. If they
No,
came
what
in
I'm-
and they
but-
completely revamped the site plan, right?
So what'll happen, right now, the variances are, could be the height, because I have
Height.
not been presented the calculations in relationship to the adjacent grade plane.
All right.
Even though the elevations look okay, there's no numbers on them. The number of units, which they could deny them, and then they'd have to adjust accordingly. So that could be one building maybe loses a few units.
And then the
then
front yard-
the front yard for the pool. So if all they do is relocate the pool, I wouldn't necessarily consider that a substantial deviation if all the buildings are the same. And the relatively, the circulation is the same. The problem is the original concept, the circulation, everything was different.
If I could, just, and this is why it came up the
Did you
first
receive
time.
this drawing?
When applicants come in for a zone change, they don't know necessarily if the board's gonna vote for it, so they don't put the money and effort really into a full-blown site plan with, elevations and things of that nature. It's more of a which is why we call it concept. So that's why this was developed to come back.
Because they got sent back.
Yeah, and absolutely, if you feel it's a substantial deviation, again, it's a call for the board, but I think once it goes past, let's say, for instance, this board said, okay, as is, with the understanding that maybe the pool gets moved, maybe the ZBA says no to the variance for the 7 units, that would not be another reason for it to come back necessarily.
I guess the problem I have is that when did we get notice that we had to put this on? Yesterday?
Like a couple days ago. Like
A couple days ago?
It was
But,
not a
like,
long time ago.
We
We got a heads up about it
We did,
sometime last
We
week.
told the planning board we would immediately go to the town board to get the
but
reaffirmation.
we used to have workshops, now we don't. So now we get this drawing and these renderings, and we don't have any time really to look at it. And then we said if we have any questions, we don't have to vote on it because we don't have a workshop.
We don't have to vote on it. The process we have allows us to vote today or not vote today. If we have 4 people who want to vote for it, we can. If we don't, we don't. But you could workshop it or not. This is the process that we all thought was a great process. Because we
is.
don't have to we don't have to vote. We can workshop it and choose not to vote today. If we all want more time. If there's someone who wants to vote for it and moves it, and someone wants to second it, and 2 other people want to join them in voting for it,
I
it'll
just
be
think
voted
that
on.
we should have more time to process it because I have questions, and I want to
I-
review it.
That's up to you.
Please understand, there is a timetable on these projects. There is a waiting list. I am telling you right now, there is a waiting list for this project. These units are well needed in the town.
This project's been going through for a year now.
Again, my
What-
feeling is it's a substantial change, but it doesn't change the goal that the town originally sought when we granted you the.
Let's be honest, we voted on, Dennis and I and Paul have been voting on this for going on 10 years. So I've approved these projects.
Part one.
What?
Phase one and now
Phase two. So
yes.
we've all voted for these in the past. It's not that I'm against it, I think it's a good thing for the town, but here's the deal. We found out about this a couple of days ago, and you want us to go and just do it. And I think, I'd like to review it a little bit more. But you guys, if you have the votes, you can vote for it. I'm just saying, sometimes you need time to fully comprehend and look at it. That's all I'm saying. But you guys can do what you want to do.
Any other questions? No? Good, all right, thanks, Tom.
Yep.
Thank you, Jane. All right, moving on to the rest of the workshop, and then will be followed by public comment. Oh, wait, sorry, one thing. Delinquent property tax law zoning violation, we have a public hearing scheduled for it. Rob did some more research in anticipation of it, and he will share his findings, which will cause a problem for
Yes.
doing it.
I have to give credit to Teresa Kenny and Denise Sullivan, both of whom worked on this. The issue was, and Tom actually brought this up when it first came up, was whether or not we could pass a law that would prevent the building department from entertaining applications for land use approvals or building permits, et cetera, if the property was delinquent in taxes, number one, and/or two, if they had zoning violations. We found some other municipalities that had such ordinances, and we actually, Denise reached out to one, and they said that they no longer enforced it because there was an attorney general opinion that indicated that it really wasn't something that was part of the zoning process to be able to do that. We looked at it a little further and kind of felt that, with the way we are currently set up, first of all, I don't know that we ever have a situation, we could ask Jane, where that has been the case, where a delinquent property tax owner has come in for a zone change, or, I'm sorry, not a zone change, an approval or a building permit. But it just seems that this is the type of thing that for now we'd like to table it because although the Attorney General opinion is really kind of informal and not necessarily binding, it's their interpretation. We read it, we felt we agreed with it. So at this point, we felt moving forward on it at this point wouldn't be prudent. So we're going to kind of hold back and maybe do some more research on it. And when we're ready, if it's appropriate, we'll put it forward.
Is there any case law that interprets that Attorney General opinion?
There was really no case law on it, no. I think, frankly, because it's probably not enforced very much. I think
Seems
it
like
was,
the people that have it don't enforce it. is what
right,
he's saying.
and,
You're going to get sued if you try to enforce it.
yeah, and, look, could you pass a law like that? I suppose, but you don't want to pass a law that's, that we know from the get-go is not valid.
Everyone good with that? So we'll just, public hearing, we'll just continue it without a date when it gets here. Moving on now to the workshop. We're going to be doing our public hearing on our new biking code for single file, and then the associated resolutions for that with the local law. There's one edit, or it was in the filming fees we approved, we forgot to include the flat rate for other special effects. We included helicopter, but not a flat rate for other special effects. So that got changed, that got added in. And then we had it split up where it wasn't clear if we defined types of productions by size, so it's just based on size of production for fees to clarify that a little bit better. Same fee costs and same structure and number of crew members and everything as we voted for before. We got an adopt a spot for our Walkway of Heroes that we're trying to get done before Memorial Day ceremony. One is going to be putting in a sprinkler system, which will allow the grass and everything to look a lot better over there. It's D'Agostino Landscaping, and then Sunrise Landscaping will be doing the actual maintenance of the spot as an adopted spot on an ongoing basis. So those are the two next resolutions, and we appreciate their volunteering their time and money to do that. Change order for Albright maintenance agreement. This basically
Additional
just
funding for the electric vehicle charging stations.
authorize additional funding. Yeah, basically it allows us to fund the charging electric vehicle charging stations from the same money that we had already, basically. Then the next one is we have early voting coming up now for the first time in New York. There are substantial costs probably associated with that. The county has the option legally to pass those on to us. We are asking the county legislature and the county government to not do so and to keep it at the county level department that handles elections. The cost could include either electronic voter books or overtime and such to allow people to get those consolidated voting locations out to all the individual ones, and also the time for manning the polling station, one per town except for Stony Point at this point. So they're just saying, hey, don't put this cost down to us, that's a county cost. Please stop doing it generally also, because it's happening with other things like chargebacks and such. And it's also kind of hypocritical to talk about Albany and then do it to us. And then it's being directed to all of our legislators, specifically from Orangetown, the county legislature, the county executive, and the other supervisors, so they know that we're doing it. Then is the resolution we just discussed on the Pearl River Club Phase 2. Then this is intermunicipal agreement regarding sharing equipment between agencies for certain projects. It's something that was part of the shared services. Basically, it creates a framework by which to easily share equipment amongst the different municipalities for stuff that we don't all have. It doesn't require it be shared if we don't want to, is kind of the thing that everyone was concerned about, but it allows us to. Does Jim have anything, you want to say about it, Jim, or is it pretty straightforward? Okay.
Well, there's also, I was going to say, there's also a provision that the town will share in the amount of money saved, either as a borrower or a lender, correct?
Oh, yeah,
From the
because
state.
you get money back from the state when you do this sort of thing, so we split the
Yeah,
savings.
basically, highway departments have had this kind of arrangement with the county for years, but not sharing of any benefits. So
Okay.
it's a structure that we're used to, but now if we can show that we've saved X amount of dollars by using another municipal entity instead of an outside contractor, that savings would be split between the
Right,
two
that's
parties.
a check from New York State.
Yes.
Because it's a shared service in exchange for us doing that, basically, so we'll get to split that. Okay. Questions?
No.
Cool. Then we're just receiving and filing auditor's report for cash receipts at Justice Court, approving a notice of claim, a settlement for Yonkers Contracting, who dumped some stuff into our sewers accidentally, not environmentally hazardous stuff, concrete. Then appointing Donald Gable to police officer. He has already completed the police academy, so. Yeah, he's go through personnel, be nominated and such, yeah. Then approve assistance for the Tapan Memorial Day Parade, for Solace Rockland Walk, which is a suicide awareness walk in Orangeburg, to authorize a supplemental agreement with New York State regarding North Middletown Road pedestrian link to Pearl River Business District. It's just to allow the project to go forward, basically, right? Nothing crazy. Approve declare surplus equipment. Approve award bid for road pavement monitoring and assessment. Lending assistance for the Nyack Chamber of Commerce Parade, a Halloween parade on October 26th. Lend aid for the Rockland Music Festival on June 23rd and 24th over at, is that a Masonic? Yeah, Masonic Fairgrounds. Appointing Robert Gerard, maintenance supervisor permanent, no change in salary. Appointing Kevin Conklin to the position of grounds worker, which was a vacancy. Approve a change order for the Blue Hill Golf Course Pond renovation project. Approve the use of abandoned train tracks along the J.B. Clark Trail for the Piermont Historical Society for exhibits. I guess we have to specifically authorize the use of the abandoned train tracks associated with the resolution that we passed to allow that display back at the corner of Piermont and Spark Hill, which we didn't technically do last time. Resolution to appoint Mike Weber for his permanent, same grade, same salary position. He took his test. Yeah, test is done, yeah, so he's good. accept the resignation of some of our curator at the Orangetown Museum, approve some budget adjustments, which are in a attached schedule, authorize a pilot agreement for 8 Olympic Drive, sorry.
Did the school district sign off on it?
The school district approved it, yes. Resolution to approve a tax certiorari with API Industries versus Town of Orangetown. Then pay vouchers, then adjournments. All right. So going back, we now have public comment. For anyone who has not done public comment here before, you have 3 minutes. In the beginning, if you could please state your name and hamlet or village of residence for the record. 3 minutes, you will then wrap up whatever sentence you're on, if you could, and try not to throw too many semicolons in there. And we will not respond or engage in kind directly during the course of public comment. We will get back to everyone who had a question or comment at the end of public comment, but it won't be at that point, then it's also not a back and forth. So public comment period, our response period, moving on with the meeting. All right, so our first signed in person, we'll get through 4 sign-ins, then which will be followed by by anyone who wanted to speak who didn't get a chance to sign in. Esther Baylor from Spark Hill.
Good evening, Supervisor Day and Town Board members. Hi, my name is Esther Baylor for the record, and I'm a unique resident in Spark Hill. I just want to clarify that we are people with developmental disabilities, just for the record. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you, Esther. Next, we have Frank Ficara of Pearl River regarding food vending on public roads.
Good evening. My name is Frank Ficara from Pearl River. We are in the middle of a Pearl River Renaissance right now for downtown Pearl River. It has been booming, the nightlife, the daytime commuting, everything, and I believe that it is time for us to kind of take the next step and to have the gourmet food truck scene, food carts, food vending, things of that nature to come about and to take care of patrons that we're losing after the bars close or during the bar nighttime to go to either Jersey or Nanuet or to different diners to really capture that audience, as well as to capture commuters that may not have had a chance to go to a deli or a bagel shop or anything like that in the morning, somewhere close to the train track and commuting areas. I just believe it is time that to take the next step and to be allowed to have some kind of permit process to allow these food vendors of certain quality, certain standards, to be able to handle exactly the clientele and the commuting area that we have in Pearl River. So I just want to thank you for your time, and then hopefully we can get this passed one day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Mike Mandel of Pearl River.
Good evening, Supervisor Day and members of the Town Board. My name is Michael Mandel, a resident of Pearl River. Just 2 questions. Regarding the number 31, the pilot project for Diversified Glass and Storefronts Incorporated. I know we give them a tax reduction in order to bring their businesses in, but the question is, if it can be answered, what's the approximate savings for the company? What would they have to have paid over the 10-year period based upon their assessment compared to what they'll actually pay over that 10-year period? A few people would like to know, I guess. It's good to bring the businesses in, but how much does it cost us? And secondly, number 11, the early voting, it's a great idea as long as you don't have to pay for it. The state legislature and the governor have dumped another unfunded mandate on the local taxpayers, whether the county pays or the town pays, Maybe the governor should have used the money that he spent on signs changing the name of the Tappan Zee Bridge to his father's name, rather than spending it and wasting it on things like that. He might have said, let's give it to the towns and use it. And if we took a look at the state legislature, which seems to pass things without anybody knowing, maybe they would save enough money that they could pay for these things. But I guess there's plenty of boondoggles up there. And so thank you, state legislature, our current representatives there, and thank you, Governor Cuomo. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next, we have Kathy Lamb. I don't have your hamlet written down. If you could just add that when you get up here, regarding trap, neuter, and return.
Good evening. My name, as was mentioned, is Kathy Lamb. I'm the president of Community Cats Initiative of Rockland County. I also have been involved with Care About the Strays for about 15 years. We have some members of CCI here as well as Care About the Strays. And I think many of us are aware there is kind of a humane crisis in Rockland, a humane crisis as far as some of our four-legged kitties are concerned. These cats are community cats. They are there mainly because many residents of Rockland abandoned them, moved, left 3 or 4 cats on their property, adopted a kitten at Christmas time that was very, very cute, and then they're a year old, and guess what? They don't think they're as cute. So they drive a couple of miles away and they dump them. This is why we have a homeless cat situation in Rockland County, as we do basically all across the country. And you have some options as to what you can do, and I think we have a very viable solution, and we're basically here to help. You've got 3 choices as far as community cats or homeless cats are concerned. What was a major practice of Rockland not too many years ago was to round up cats that did not have a home, that were not inside, take them to high-tour shelter, and kill them. Healthy, viable cats. Some of them may have even been one of your neighbor's cats that got out or they let out. So we know in a humane society, in a society now that realizes that inhumane treatment of animals is no longer acceptable, we cannot do that. You cannot take a cat that does not have a home, although we may have some people in Rockland in politics that have no problem with killing cats, but I think the majority of the residents in Rockland are not supportive of that. And High-Tour is not going to be the killing machine it was, thanks to the new board and other people that have been involved in stopping this for about the past 5 years or so. So we know that killing cats is not a solution. Doing nothing is not a solution because you're only going to have more and more cats. But the only thing that works and will work and has worked, and thank God there have been groups in Rockland doing this so we'd have even more homeless cats around, and it's happening all over the country. I can give you a quick example of a Wendy's in Rockland that I had been involved with, where there were in the area of 80 cats. There are now 2 cats in that controlled colony, and we took many out. What's important about TNR is it's not just trap, neuter, return, It's trap, neuter, vaccinate, adopt. Because so many cats were dumped, they're friendly. They just want a new home.
Thank you.
So we'd
Sorry,
love to meet with you at some point to discuss this. Thank you very much.
Where are you a resident of again? You didn't mention.
Pardon me?
Where are you a resident of? You didn't mention where you're.
Where do I?
Where are you a resident of?
I live in Westchester County.
Okay,
But
thank
I'm
you.
the president of Community Cats
I
Initiative of
understand.
Rockland.
We were just asking for whether.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Is there anyone who did not sign in who would like to also speak in the public comment period? Seeing no one raising their hands, I'm going to entertain a motion to close public comment. Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Aye. All right, so just to touch on a couple of these things, Frank Ficarra. So just so everyone's tracking, this was kind of going back and forth between us and Rosanna and Rob. Orangetown does not have a specific food truck regulation, though food trucks are like a thing now. We actually encourage food trucks for use on Veterans Park because we closed our vending. That was the thought process there. Obviously, introducing food trucks into any area can cause some headaches for different situations if it's not done the right way, but also not regulating it at all could mean that it could be done under things like the hawking and peddling is kind of a catch-all-ish thing. So it may make sense for us to sit down as a team and try to figure out what we would want to restrict food trucks to and what we would want to permit them to do and define them separately from hawking and peddling. Because right now, one can make an argument that you're peddling food, and if you have a peddling license and you have a vehicle you're taking the food from,
Technically, it fits under the definition, but
it's not
from my
very
understanding with the application that gentleman was interested in, it ends at 8 PM, and I know that, you know,
Right,
you
the
had an
late
interest in
night
doing it
one.
later. You have to move every 10 minutes. If the person, you know, if a property owner asks you to leave, you have to leave within, I guess, a quarter mile. You have to, you know, relocate a quarter mile. So, you know, theoretically, somebody could do it, but
it might
under the
makes-
hawking
it
peddling,
makes it a
but
different situation.
not
The
in
question
what
is,
he
do
was
we want to
proposing.
try to define out a food truck and make a separate permit for a food truck that recognizes the benefits and drawbacks, because there are benefits to it, like, you know, a late night situation in a main downtown area? Or do we want to just sort of leave it as it is and not really be able to have the right usage of food trucks? We can talk about it, maybe email some ideas back and forth.
Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, we don't have to, it's something to look into, I think, you know. And that will be obviously a local law change with the public hearing and everything, so this is the very, very beginning of a process. Deal Fresh, where's that located? All right. Very good. Then we get to give him, he lives in Pearl River, he's working in his city, he come back and he can serve food in Pearl River instead. Mike, you had a question about the pilot. Brian, I see you back there. You mind coming up and just explaining just the details of this pilot, because we did skip over it?
We've had a bunch of pilots over the years. We still have some. Most of these are in Pearl River. I don't particularly personally advocate pilots because I'm supposed to, you know, I'm the assessor, everybody's supposed to pay their fair share and everything, but in some cases, we don't want empty buildings. We want new businesses to come in, and the IDA gets involved with this, and so does the town. And we met with these people that wanted to move their glass business up to 8 Olympic Drive, which was vacated recently by Echo Cheese, I believe. And the bottom line is, they pay currently about $100,000 in taxes. And for the first few years, this pilot will reduce the tax burden about 30%. The good news is, at the end of the pilot, their tax burden will increase from what it is now by 30% or more. So in the end, we're going to gain. In the interim, we're going to get the business to come here, and yes, we're going to give them a break for a while. But there's a sliding scale. I think it may be in the backup material, because I gave a memo to
Yeah, it's in there.
the town and the school. School's already approved this. They have the most to win or lose.
And
And
Brian,
so,
there's recapture rates if they don't continue with the pilot for a certain period of time, right?
excuse me?
We can recapture some of the.
Yes, if something happens and they leave town and they don't want to continue it or something like that, they can be, we're going to get all the money back that we would have gotten had the pilot not taken place. And that did happen with the property here a few
That
years
wasn't
ago.
ongoing, there was a pilot on this property previously.
There was a, but,
With Olympus.
yeah, it happened with another property that reneged on it and left town, and we recaptured all that money that they would have paid us. So, okay?
Thank you, Brian.
Okay.
Chris, can I
Yeah.
answer?
Yeah, sure, Jane, go ahead.
They've actually come in for building permits to make improvements to the property
Yeah,
as well.
that's
So
their
they're
intent. They're
they're
making
paying
better.
their building permits and going through the board approval process
And
as
it's a
well.
locally owned company, they're just based
Right.
outside the area, so we're bringing them home, basically. Kathy Lamb, regarding the Community Cats Initiative, so the trap neuter release, trap neuter return, whatever it's being called right now, I know it came before the Clarkstown Town Board in a very aggressive manner, said a little while ago. I've had it mentioned to me. There was a lot of unfortunate things said at the time. Basically, the Clarkstown Board wanted to put a few rules about if it's going to be a law that's passed by the town, they wanted to make sure they knew who was doing the trapping, neutering, and releasing, so that if someone traps, neuters, and releases your actual cat, you can know who did it, and there's registration process, because there is some sort of, once the town gets involved in a process like this, there's a little bit of liability there. That was not received well at the time. I don't know if the CCI has changed their mind about it. I personally don't think we should have any program like this unless there is some sort of safety registration for people. We know who's doing it and when they're taking cats, and that they're checking to make sure it's not owned by someone I don't think that makes anyone want to kill cats, though, and that's kind of how it ended up when it was before the town board. No, but not taking questions, because that's what happened. If you look on the transcripts and if you look on social media, people were calling the councilmen in Clarkstown cat killers because they wanted to register people for this process. Also, no cats are killed when they're collected right now under the current process. They're sent to High Tor. That may have to change to the Hudson Valley Humane Society if High Tor doesn't sign a new agreement with us this year. But they are sent, they are kept for potential adoption, they are vaccinated and treated and actually neutered if necessary. And the problem, of course, we just came up with a good process by which we can get these cat colonies, these stray cats, feral cats, I don't know, community cats, they're not owned by a community, they're strays, get them taken away from the area where they're causing the smell. We've had many complaints about that. We finally got a good process with our animal control officer to remove the cats and put them into High Tor, where they are not killed and have not been for years. So I don't know that the system's broken, and I think if people want to go around capturing strays and, you know, neutering them on their own, then that's fine. I'm sorry, no. No, I'm sorry, that's not how it happens here. High Tor is taking cats. High Tor received cats from us previously. You can stop going back and forth. I'm stating a fact that High Tor took cats from us. So High Tor has signed on to take cats from us, and they already have recently, and they will continue to, or we will find someone who will. And that is how it is. And this is exactly what I was discussing with the Clarkstown Town Board, where they come in and they start shouting at you coming from Westchester and telling you we're killing cats at High Tor. Apparently, they don't take our cats. So that's my thoughts on the subject, so we can move on. All right, moving on to the voting aspect of it. We now have the public hearing for bicycling and skating in public streets. Can we have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak on biking? On the single-file biking law? Okay, thank you. If you could please, ma'am, thank you. We're continuing with the meeting. Single-file biking law. No, going once, going twice. A motion to close public comment. Moved. Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on to SECRA. Again, this is just simply a single-file biking law, and everything was circulated properly. So we have a motion to determine lead agency for SECRA.
I'll make a motion.
Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
And then a resolution to adopt the local law, which again makes people ride single file on our streets just like they do in the villages in our town. Is there a motion?
Move.
Councilman Batari, second by Councilman Divney. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. 7, resolution to approve a modified fee schedule, slightly adopting what we did previously. Is there a motion? Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to approve and adopt a spot for the sprinkler installation donation on the Walkway of Heroes. Motion by Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to approve the maintenance and landscaping of that same location by Sunrise Landscaping. Is there a motion? Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Resolution to approve a change order for the Albright maintenance agreement regarding our LED streetlight conversion and EV charging stations. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? A moralizing resolution asking the County of Rockland not to continue the waterfall of mandates on this voting thing. Is there a motion? Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on, page 9. Resolution to approve or review the proposed site plan for the Club of Pearl River. 2, noting that that there are certain members of the board who would like to continue the workshop. Is there a motion to pay for this tonight? Is there a motion to move this resolution tonight to approve, to say that we're okay, that these are not significant changes to the plan? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor?
Aye. No.
Councilman Divney with a nay, and all others in favor? 4 to 1, yes. A resolution to approve intermunicipal shared services with, so we could share the savings from the, or the rebates from them. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to receive and file independent auditor's report for cash at Justice Court. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Resolution to approve settlement and notice of claim for Yonkers Contracting Company, TZ Contractors. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Resolution to appoint, nominate Don Gable as the police officer, as a police officer, not the police officer. Sorry, resolution to nominate him from the civil service nominee. Sorry, I was reading the headline, to the position. Councilman Batari, second by Councilman Valentine. Valentine, all in favor? Resolution to approve assistance for the Tappan Memorial Day Parade. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor? Resolution to approve the Solace Rockland Walkland Assistance Suicide Awareness in Orangeburg, June 1st. Motion. Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Resolution to authorize a supplemental agreement with New York State DOT regarding our North Middletown Road redo. There a motion?
Yeah, I'll make that. I'd like to know where that's at.
Yeah, Jim, where are we timeline-wise on that? Are we still on track?
We met with our consulting engineers last week. We had a series of comments from the state about 5 weeks ago. We sent in those back immediately, and we're waiting now for them to give us additional comments or just approve what we've sent in to them, so.
Is this happening in 2019?
We may be able to get out the bid, there's no guarantee. And we're getting close now to the point where bidding in the middle of the summer is probably not as beneficial to us as bidding before construction season. But we're still headed there. It depends on when we get it back. If we get it back from them, there may be a possibility, and we've talked to engineering about this too. We're working together with the county also. But it's going to come down to, do we go to bid? This happened a few years ago when we went to bid in Pearl River in the summertime for the downtown work, that small piece, and we got one bid, and then DOT wouldn't give us the funding anyhow. We had to go back and bid again. So a couple things we're running against, but there's still a good possibility that we may be able to get something started. We did discuss with the county, and they said if had to work into the winter, they would be willing to work with us on that. So
Okay.
I can't give you an exact, but we're definitely working on it.
Gotcha. All right, thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. So we have a motion from Councilman Choi. Is there a second? Councilman Valentine, all in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to approve and declare surplus equipment, one dump trailer. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Resolution to approve award bid for road pavement monitoring. Motion. Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Resolution to approve and lend aid for the Nye Chamber of Commerce Halloween Parade. Councilman Valentine with the motion, Councilman Batari with the second. All in favor? Resolution to approve aid for the Rockland Bergen Music Festival. Councilman Batari with the motion, Councilman Troy with the second. All in favor? Resolution to appoint Robert Gerard permanent maintenance supervisor. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Resolution to appoint Kevin Conklin to the position of grounds worker in Parks and Rec. Councilman Valentine with the motion, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Resolution to approve a change order for the Blue Hill Golf Course Pond renovation project. There's motion. Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Troy. Troy, that one. All in favor? Resolution to approve use of abandoned train tracks, which we did kind of approve already, but not technically. Is there a motion? Councilman Valentine, second by Councilman Divney. Good?
Yep.
All in favor? Resolution to appoint Mike Weber as permanent for his position of Chief Operator Grade 3. Is there a motion? Councilman Batari, second by Councilman Troy. All in favor? Resolution to accept the resignation for Colleen Moriarty from the Orangetown Museum. Second, motion by Councilman Divney, second by Councilman
I'll second
Troy.
that, but on that motion, I don't know how many people have gone to the museum for the exhibit at the Camp Shanks exhibit at the museum. You have Memorial Day weekend coming up. I'm telling you, it's a great, great exhibit, because what it does, one of the things they have, you see what Orangetown looked like back in 1941. And they have overlays where you see how things have changed over that period of time, where that was all the Shanks barracks for the soldiers who went overseas for World War II. It's a terrific exhibit. I was there at opening day, and one of the things that the head of the curator asked is some more town board members show up. I told her I'd tell them that. There you go.
All right. Next, we have a motion to approve, a resolution to approve budget adjustments for the 2018 budget. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Valentine. All in favor? Aye. Resolution to authorize that pilot we were talking about. Is there a motion? Councilman Troy, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution to approve a tax certiorari. Is there a motion? Councilman Divney, you say?
Yep.
All right, second by Councilman Batari. All in favor?
Aye.
Audit, pay vouchers. I got it. I'm waiting until after this. Don't worry.
Okay, the audit for tonight's meeting consists of 3 warrants for a total of $1.975 million. The first warrant had 1 voucher for $2,900. It was for uniforms. The second warrant had 42 vouchers for $170,000 for utilities. The third warrant had 345 vouchers for $1.8 million. Items of interest, 1 and 2, the applied golf contracts. Number 4, Capasso, $48,000 for recycling. Number 8, Federal Eastern International, $27,000 for police vests. Number 10, Goosetown, $23,000 for police equipment leases. Number 11, JP Morgan, $53,000 for the energy performance contract. Number 12, Jesco, $193,000 for highway equipment, that was bonded. Number 14, Metro Ford Sales, $33,000 for a parks vehicle, also bonded money. Number 16, Department of Civil Service, $764,000 for CSEA healthcare. Number 20, Sprague, $14,000 for fuel. And number 21, Store Tractor Company, $13,000 for a parks equipment, also bonded money. Any questions on the audit?
Questions on the audit?
No? Nope.
No, no. All right, is there a motion to accept and such for that audit? Yes?
Moved.
Councilman Divney. Councilman Batari with a second. All in favor? All right, before we adjourn, I got a note that Venture won the basketball game. Camp Venture won their basketball game, and I was asked to announce that and congratulate them on their win. I'm going to go ahead and, well, we have one person we're adjourning in memory of, William Nyan. Nyan. He's the brother of our post office employee, Bob Nyan. So. Tom Goldrick, yeah, he did pass, yeah. Former sheriff, so we'll add him. Goldrick. You can.
Jenny Jackson, she was known as Bunny,
Mm-hmm.
born and raised in Sparkdale. She just passed, 97 years old.
Wow.
Her maiden name was Jenny Dizzy.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move that we enter executive session to discuss personnel. Is there anything else, Rob? And litigation. And immediately after adjourn in memory of those 3 folks who recently passed. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much.